Marvel's Avengers had a really rocky start. I didn't get a chance to play it when it first came out, so I saw reviews and I saw all the negativity as far as like bugs and all the issues that the game had. Now that it's been 2 years, I decided to finally give it a shot, especially during Christmas time. They were giving a really huge sale. So I got it for $16 on PC through Steam, and it was also on the PS4 for the same amount, so I picked it up on there as well. Seeing how the game is right now, it has definitely changed a hell of a lot, with a lot more content and very little bugs. They're still there, but they're not nearly as bad as it was when it first came out. So far, I've done 34 hours of playtime on the Steam version of the game. As far as like how many people are actually playing though, it's kind of low, sitting at 793 at the moment. It's still pretty early in the morning with the filming of this video, but still, their numbers are pretty low. But fortunately enough, they are still updating this game. And for the most part, it seems like they're gonna keep up with adding new characters and hopefully new content in the future. So we'll see. So today I was gonna be giving my review of this. So I'm gonna be starting off with the good and then I'll go into the bad. So as far as the good goes, starting with the graphics are absolutely amazing in this game. It actually holds up really well even after 2 years of this game being out. I was also really impressed with the performance on this game, especially on the PC side of things. I'm getting a solid 60 the entire time. It slows down every once in a while during big fights, but it's not enough for me to like be upset about it. The craziest part is since I also bought the PlayStation 4 version of the game, I didn't really get to play a whole lot. But from what I've seen, the graphics look just as good as the PC version, which is pretty insane. The only downside with the PS4 version, though, is that there is big load times, so you'll be sitting there waiting for a while. And also, you're not going to be getting 60 FPS. You're going to be getting 30 or lower. So that's the downside with playing on the console. Not sure how the Xbox One is. I'm assuming that it's about the same. As far as the gameplay goes, this is obviously the most important part of the entire game, and it works really well, especially with the different characters that you're playing. When you play each individual Avenger, you get a different feeling every time you play them. They feel very similar to each other with the way they control, but with the way they pull off their combos and their abilities is what makes this really special, especially with the way you're upgrading your gear and you're trying to min-max whatever it is you're trying to achieve, as far as like maybe you want to go full melee, or maybe you want to be more tanky, or if you want to go just range, or even do more of a supportive role of having more stun or status effects and things like that. It definitely adds a lot more extra value to the entire game to make you want to continue to pursue to get better gear and to also try to get better at playing your character. Because the most interesting part about the gameplay is that once you start leveling up your dude and you start getting all the abilities, it starts to actually evolve and it starts to feel like you are in control of how you play your character. So it really adds this extra level of like skill involved with this game, and it's not just a simple button masher, and that's why I really like this game right now. The core of the game feels very jump in and play, and that's a really nice thing, because like if you don't have a whole lot of time to play, you can definitely just jump into a match and just start beating stuff up. But if you really want to dedicate and get all the achievements possible, or try to min-max your gear, or do all those things, you have the longevity of that as well. So it's nice to have the quick jump in and play whenever you want, on top of also playing as long as you want. So it's really nice with the way they built this. As far as the core story of the main game, the cutscenes feel close to what you would see in the movies. You got really nice motion capture. The voice acting is pretty well done, except for Banner. I didn't really care for him that much. But still, it definitely holds its own, and it definitely has a pretty nice story to keep you invested to wanting to see what else this game has to offer. The only downside with the DLCs, like some of the newer content, it kind of seems like they just got lazy with the DLCs as far as storytelling, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of motion capture and it doesn't really have a whole lot of cutscenes to begin with. So you're sitting there just watching your character just be idle, you know, just kind of doing weird moves and stuff, even though he's trying to have a serious conversation. But as far as the core story goes, it's only 8 hours long, so that's roughly how long it took me. I still died a bunch of times, so probably would have been less if I actually like got through it nicely. But yeah, it was still decently long enough to at least feel like you got a good, nice playthrough of the core story before you go into DLCs. This game offers tons of replayability. Lately, I've been comparing this game a lot to Warframe because it feels a lot like that in the way of just being able to grind for more gear, trying to grind up your characters to get them leveled up, working on getting enough credits to get new skins or whatever. There's a lot of stuff to work towards that it makes the replay value extremely high in this thing. I can totally see people easily spending thousands of hours in this game trying to unlock everything this game has to offer. And especially since they're constantly updating the game, like I was mentioning earlier, we're always looking forward to getting new characters, and hopefully they're going to start updating to the point where they start catching up to the movies. Whereas like we need Doctor Strange in here. Doctor Strange is getting a new movie. It would be awesome to see Captain Marvel, since Kamala Khan is like a big fan of her. So it's like, okay, why we not have this character in the game? And then they just announced something about the She-Hulk, which I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's just like fans wanting it to be in the game, but that's supposedly happening soon. So this game is definitely worth investing that time in. One of the best parts about the game is that you don't ever have to feel like you're chained into the multiplayer mode. You can completely play this game on solo. So you can go in with just bots and finish objectives. And that's the really good thing about this game, is that, you know, you could play it at your own pace, or even just do as much as you can by yourself. That way you're not always constantly having to wait in queues or hope that somebody could help you finish a certain type of mission, because it's totally possible for you to solo everything. Now let's talk about the bad. This game has a heavy grind. So if you're the type of person that really hates trying to upgrade your gear score and really hates having to like re-level up different characters whenever you want to try something new, then you're probably going to hate this game, because there's a lot of grind. You're going to be working on something all the time. So it can end up being a really big downside of the game if you're the type of person that doesn't like to repeat content over and over and over. Me, fortunately, I played Warframe for so many years that this is just normal for me. So for somebody like me, I really enjoy this game a lot, because it gives me more reason to want to chase things and try to chase like new pieces of gear to try to make different builds. But this can be a major turnoff at the same time, depending on the type of person you are. Spiderman is exclusive to only the PlayStation version of this game. I was looking at the reviews on Steam for the PC version, and a majority of negative reviews were all because of this reason. I got a chance to play a little bit of Spider-Man yesterday on the PS4, and he is very good. He compares a lot to the actual Spider-Man game that came out on the PS4 a while back. So it's really impressive what they did with it. It's just really too bad that it's not on any other version than the Sony platforms. So at the end of the day, all we got to do is pick up a middle finger to Sony for doing this. But then again, they own it, so it is what it is. There's no cross-platform play at all, which is a big disappointment, especially since I have two versions of the game. So I have it on PC, and then I bought it on PS4 as well. What I'm hoping is that maybe in the future we might see crossplay, but there hasn't been any word about crossplay, and even the developers themselves say it's not even on their radar. So it's kind of a big disappointment if you're like me and would love to be able to play with somebody else close. Like if I could play with my fiance on the PlayStation 4 and I'll be on PC, that would be awesome, but it's too bad we can't. The matchmaking system is terrible in this game. It's easily the worst matchmaking system I have seen in a video game in a very, very long time. Like the only game that probably is just as bad is Space Lords, when I used to play that back in the day. I say back in the day, like if it was like 10 years, but it's probably been about 4. And like I showed you with the player numbers, sitting at about 800 people, you know, playing the game doesn't necessarily mean that all 800 people could log into your matchmaking. The matchmaking itself, you have to toggle it on in order to actually participate in it. So for the first 9 to 10 hours that I was playing the game, I was on single player mode the whole time. And I actually had to Google, how do you turn on matchmaking? Because I had no idea how to do it. Another really huge problem with it is that it doesn't allow you to connect to a match that's already in progress. So the only way to match up with people is to sit in the lobby literally and wait for people to fill those spots. That's terrible. What they really need to learn from is Warframe. They did a really good job with that game. Whereas like you could be in the middle of a match and people will connect to you while you're actually playing in the mission. That's something that the Avengers game really desperately needs. And it's the only way for the matchmaking to actually match you up with people. Of course, cross-platform play would help in this situation, but it's only a band-aid on the overall issues with the whole matchmaking system to begin with. There is no PvP modes, so this is a completely strictly PvE game, which is not a big deal, but it would have been nice to see some kind of PvP in the game. Like if there was something like, for example, we had the Civil War movie that came out, where it's like the Avengers versus the Avengers, you know, fighting each other. It would be so cool to have a DLC like that that introduces that system. Imagine having like arena modes, or maybe even like defend against waves of enemies, and it could be like a PvE PvP kind of thing. There's so much potential of what you could do with modes like that. That's what just makes me think, why aren't they trying to do something with this? And the worst problem of all, Square Enix is behind this. So you never know at any point that they would throw in NFTs, because that's apparently where everybody wants to go now. They all want to sell NFTs now. And Square Enix themselves said they want to implement that in their games. So it's a matter of time until the Avengers game lands up getting some NFT, and it could be like Captain Marvel. That's the NFT, $4,000 to get her in the game. Woohoo! Nah, screw that. So I feel like Square Enix themselves could be the biggest problem to hold this game back, and maybe even shut down the game if it's not doing well enough in their standards. That's the scary part. Overall though, I really enjoy this game, and I definitely recommend trying it out. It's also on the Xbox Game Pass, so you can go on there, you can just subscribe for a month and go ahead and try the game for yourself and see if you like it. Since the game went back up to normal price of $40, it's completely up to you on whether or not you want to invest that. But personally, for me, I really feel like it is worth that, because there's so much replay value in this that you could literally sit playing this game for thousands of hours, no problem, especially if you really like the game. That's why I definitely say go ahead and just try it out on Xbox Game Pass to get an idea of if you like it before you buy it. You know what I mean? Big shout out to my supporters on YouTube. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.